سلام سلام أهيل المدام خذوني عليكم فأنتم كرام سلام سلام أهيل المدام خذوني عليكم فأنتم كرام علينا إليكم توارى الطريق.
In the second half of the 1980s, following his assumption of the leadership of the Sammaniya Qaribullah Sufi order, Professor Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih Qaribullah emerged as one of the most significant and influential figures of Sufi orders in Sudan in general and in Sammaniya in particular. Built on the family magnificent spiritual and literary and scientific legacy that have been established by his grandfather Sheikh Al-Tayyib, following with the strong foundation that had been constructed by his direct grandfather Sheikh Qaribullah Saleh, Sheikh Hassan went on building further on the legacy of his late father, the Gnostic and the reputed Wali Sheikh Muhammad Al-Fatih. So based on this magnificent and great legacies that have been founded by the forefather, Sheikh Hassan went on and infused a new spirit into the Sammaniya, particularly the branch of Sheikh Qaribullah in Durman. So following this brief introduction, it is my great pleasure and honor to introduce this strong and significant figure. Here, Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih Qaribullah. So his family, his education, religious education, his doctrine, his contributions, his authoring books, and his other views towards Sufism and Tasawwuf in Sudan will be the focus of my presentation in this episode. However, his biography informs that he was born at Durman in 1933 into a renowned Sudanese scholarly family, well known for their deep-rooted attachment to spiritual guidance, learning, and teaching religious sciences. His full name is Hassan Muhammad Al-Fatih Qaribullah Abu Saleh Ahmad Al-Tayyib, the founder of the Sudanese Sammaniya. So Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih Qaribullah was born in a well-reputed family, a family that has great influence in Sudanese society. And by the way, his grandfather, Sheikh Al-Tayyib, is the founder of the Sudanese Sammaniya. From his mother's side, he is a Sharifian. That is because his mother is Sharifa Fatima Mayzub Hajjaz Muddassir. So from his father's side, he belongs to the family of Sheikh Al-Tayyib al-Bashir, whose lineage ends with Al-Abbas, the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, while from his mother's side, he ends with the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for his mother is Sayyida Fatima Mayzub Hajjaz Muddassir. So Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih is a member of the Tayyibian family. And Tayyibian family, by the way, it is a family that is attributed to the founder, my master Sheikh Ahmad Tayyib al-Bashir. In Sudan, it's known as the Tayyibian family. A clan that had a strong influence has a strong contribution in the Sudanese society. His education. Other noms with religious and righteous family, Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih has started his education at the Khalwa. So in this regard, he attained his early education at the Khalwa of his grandfather, Sheikh Qaribullah Saleh, under Al-Fatih Al-Tayyib Al-Zain. Furthermore, he also studied under Sheikh Hassan Muhammad Said of the Scientific Institute of Durman. At the age of 9, he memorized the Holy Quran by the narrations of Abi Hafs and Abi Amr al-Duwari. Then he joined the Scientific Institute of Durman for further religious education. So here just I would like to say that Sheikh Hassan Fatih started his education at the Khalwa of his grandfather Sheikh Qaribullah Abu Saleh. And in this concern, he has studied and memorized the Quran at the age of 9, and he started his religious education, as I have stated, with the memorization of the Quran at his grandfather Sheikh Qaribullah Khalwa under Al-Fatih Al-Tayyib Al-Zain, and then he further on went on and studied under Sheikh Hassan Muhammad Said of the Scientific Institute of Durman. And for further education, he also joined the Scientific Institute of Durman for further religious education. In his tertiary education, Sheikh Hassan had joined the Islamic University of Durman, then Cairo University of Khartoum, in which he obtained his bachelor degrees. He was awarded his MA from the Postgraduate College, University of Khartoum, in 1965, with the study entitled التصوف في السودان إلى نهاية دولة الفونج, Islamic Mysticism in Sudan towards the end of Fonj Sultanate. Following his obtaining to MA in History at University of Khartoum, he was seconded to the University of Edinburgh, and there he obtained his PhD in Islamic philosophy, with the study handles the influence of Imam al-Ghazali upon Islamic jurisprudence and philosophy, and that was in the year 1970 under the supervision of Professor William Montgomery Watt. So here just I would like to comment and say that Sheikh Hassan, at the norms of the notable families in Sudan, he started his religious education at his grandfather Sheikh Qaribullah Khalwa, and at that area or at that place he came to the memorization of the Holy Quran at the age of 9, and then he went on and followed his spiritual or his religious education, and he joined Durman Islamic Institute, where he studied Islamic he received his Islamic studies in the Durman Islamic Institute. Further, he went and joined Durman Islamic University, where he specialized in Islamic studies, and he obtained his PA in Islamic Studies from University of Durman, and at the same time he has received another PA from Cairo University, the branch of Khartoum, and in 1970 he was seconded to the University of Edinburgh, where he obtained his PhD in Islamic philosophy, and his study, by the way, has focused on the influence of Imam al-Ghazali upon Islamic jurisprudence and philosophy. His Sufi Senate. Sheikh Hassan has been initiated into the Sammaniya under his father, the great Gnostic Sheikh Muhammad Al-Fatih Qaribullah, and he had been Ozaraida, the Sheikh in the Tariqa, following the 5 branches that make up the Sammaniya. I am referring here to the Qadiriya, the Khalwatiyya, the Naqshbandiyya, طريقة الأنفاس and طريقة الموافقة. So he had been initiated into the Sammaniya under his father Sheikh Muhammad Al-Fatih Qaribullah, and then he come to be authorized, given the full ijaza in the 5 turuq that make up the Sammaniya from his father, the notable Wali Sheikh Muhammad Al-Fatih Qaribullah. His Sufi doctrine. About his Sufi doctrine here, just I would like to say that his Sufi doctrine is not an exception from the Sufi doctrine of Tasawwuf in general and the Sammaniya in particular. And here I would like to say that the Sufi doctrine of Sheikh Hassan is based on following the Sharia through the teaching of the Holy Quran and following the prophetic Sunnah. And in this particular context, he is an example. He is an example and a model that throughout his caliphate, he embodied the essence of the authentic and the real of Tasawwuf, mainly the doctrine of his grandfather Sheikh Ahmad al-Tayyib and the doctrine of Sayyid Muhammad al-Samman, which he based on Sharia, following the teachings of the Holy Quran and the prophetic Sunnah. Sheikh Hassan had made his destinic doctrine throughout the years that he stood as the Khalifa in the center of his grandfather, Sheikh Qaribullah in Wadnubawi. So in this regard, I would like to say that the strong religious and scientific background, Sheikh Hassan, by the way, came to make great contribution to the Tasawwuf in general and in Sammaniya in particular. That is because his doctrine is an example that had been attracted a lot of murids to the fold of the Tariqah. So the academic oriented approach consolidated with mystical oriented approach, by the way, came to make up his Sufi doctrine. And in this concern, he was an example of a sincere guide, a spiritual guide that he joined by the science of Haqiqa, Tariqa from a side, and the science of Sharia. However, the Tariqa during his time was marked by a number of elements and useful principles, helped Tasawwuf grow and regain its power, under condition where the criticism of Tasawwuf and its men's activities was so strong. Sheikh Hassan had taken over as Khalifate, and therefore Tasawwuf is viewed by some of those critics as being backward, reactionary, and lacking in activity. However, some of those critics believe that Tasawwuf is incompatible with the fundamentals of the Islamic faith. A hostile third party, on the other hand, has opposed Tasawwuf and rejected everything associated with it, both in form and meaning. Like the other Sufi Sheikh, Sheikh Hassan had accepted the Caliphate office following the passing away of his father, Sheikh Muhammad Al-Fatih, in 1986. In such a setting and within that context, participating his da'wah task as a sincere, true spiritual guide, he had attracted the people to the fold of the Tariqah. However, they flocked to him, both individually and in groups, seeking knowledge, manners, religion, protection, safety, and seriousness toward returning to Allah. To Sheikh Hassan, Tasawwuf is a pattern of religious philosophy. It is a mental, spiritual revolution on the performance, the way in which the devotion is done. Rather, it is the bond that connects the servant with his Lord, as well as the unsound thinking in which the creature weighs his worldly and religious matters, and recognizing the shreds of evidence of the existence of his Mawla, his closeness to him, and his love. He has stated in his writings that if it were not of Tasawwuf, Islam, as it was understood by the narrow-minded of both the Fuqaha and the philosophers, an empty face of the deepened spirituality, also barren of noble high sentiment, while its devotions will be a pattern of rigid rules and forms. Like some others, Sheikh Hassan has revealed against the strangeness of the way of the Sufi path, or the way that the religion has become a submission of forms and lifeless ideas or states. So, like some others, Sheikh Hassan has rebelled against the strangeness of the way that religion has become assumption of forms and lifeless states, with no spirituality to back it up, or any moral benefits to its practice. Unusual comprehension has led to a dry dimension of the Islamic sciences. For some of them, prayer has become a sport that involves physical training, while the Hajj is merely a commerce, and fasting is a nutritional system that helps people become healthier and well. Since Tasawwuf is Ihsan stage, the educational doctrine of Sheikh Hassan has meant the integration of the educational process, and each component has an effect on the other personal elements. Ihsan is to worship God as if you see Him. If you do not see Him, then He sees you. Sheikh Hassan was so concerned with the realization of his religious goals, and this has represented in his abiding with Sharia. For Tasawwuf is sticking with what has come in the Book of Allah and the Prophetic Sunnah, that for the belief that there is no Tasawwuf without Sharia and no Haqiqah without Sharia. Particularly or practically, he has instilled the sublime educational goal into the individual and those who had come to be initiated under his hand and became seekers of Tasawwuf in his own tariqah. However, he has worked and striven seriously to realize these goals, aided by his grew-up, nurture and unique personality, which has been reflected in his rich story life, making piety an entire sublime goal, inciting to be realized via the unique doctrine of his, in educating as well as nurturing his students and murids. The most important educational objectives for Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih doctrine is the preparation of the individual for the life of dunya and the hereafter, in the light of Islam and Tasawwuf and its relation with the universe, the Creator, and the society in which the individual lives. The spirit of renewal in his doctrine. In order to implement his Sufi doctrine in Da'wah, Professor Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih has used a combination of lecturing outside of his masjid and teaching, delivering lectures and speeches inside his own Sufi center. So, in order to implement and to achieve, and at the same time to realize his Sufi doctrine, he followed two ways. One of these ways is lecturing outside the center, and here just I would like to say that he used to seize the opportunities of the invitations that used to be provided to him in universities, Sudanese universities, and even in Sudanese cities and villages to deliver lectures in Tasawwuf and in Islamic religion or Islamic studies. This is from a side. And from another side, he used also to deliver lectures at his own masjid. Deliver lectures, by the way, twice, 2 days a week. 2 days a week, and I was lucky enough to be part of his assembly during the end of 1990s and the early of 2000. So he used inside the masjid to deliver lectures on Friday and on Tuesday. However, one of the things that distinguished his caliphate and reflected the spirit of revivalism in his Sufi doctrine is the sharing of his murids outside the capital, Khartoum, the religious festivals be held by them. Therefore, for many years, the Sheikh used to honor the occasions such as the celebration of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He used to seize such opportunities by delivering lectures and speeches on such religious occasions. As a Sammani Sheikh, Sheikh Hassan is well known for his contributions to the Sufi movement in Sudan and for building on the tradition of his predecessors. However, the Sheikhdom of Professor Hassan Al-Fatih has made the Sufi Tariq, which was once a choice for the common people, to be further a choice for the wealthy and educated elite. Sheikh Hassan had devoted to reaching out to the youth and bringing them the true message of Islam and Tasawwuf whenever or wherever they may be. He utilized his pen and tongue to defend Islam and Tasawwuf, authored, delivered lectures, and then an active as well as regular participant with youth in the Sudanese universities and mosques. He used to share Sufi students their programs on universities. To his view, the Sufi should do good for people and follow the way of the Prophet Muhammad. He should be tolerant with his family, neighbors, and all others in the world. Such was a glimpse of, or glimpses of, Sheikh Hassan Fatih Sufi doctrine. And by the way, his doctrine has been expressed so vividly and in very strong way in his own authoring books. The Vice Chancellor. In his academic career, Professor Sheikh Hassan Fatih has held numerous academic positions. He had worked as a lecturer at the Omdurman Islamic University, where he obtained his BA in Islamic Studies, that is in the year 1965, as well as another PA from Cairo University of Khartoum. He was promoted as assistant professor in 1975 and associate professor in 1979. He assumed the deanship of the Faculty of Arts at the University, at Islamic University of Omdurman, and also Dean of Faculty of Sharia and Social Sciences in the very same university. In addition, he was appointed head department of Philosophy and Sociology and head department of the College of Usul al-Din at Omdurman Islamic University. He was appointed chairman to the Scientific Institute of Omdurman, the current Holy Quran Islamic Sciences University, as well as he was chosen a member of many of higher education institutes in Sudan and outside the country. Furthermore, Professor Sheikh Hassan had been also appointed as a Vice Chancellor Deputy at Omdurman Islamic University more than one time in 1976 and then from 1981 to August of the very same year. In 1985, he had been appointed Vice Chancellor to the Islamic University of Omdurman. He resigned from the post to be in charge of the Tariqa Caliphate office following the passing away of his father, the notable and the influential Sheikh Muhammad Al-Fatih in 1986. The Sheikh high aspiration and consistent, wholehearted engagement in seeking knowledge propelled him to become deeply versed in all branches of sciences. Outward, that is the Sharia science, and inward, that is the Tariqa and Haqiqa sciences. He was known as a person of knowledge not only at his homeland Sudan, but throughout the Islamic world. Sheikh Hassan was an active regular participant in local and international conferences and forums. He has supervised as well as shared in the evaluation of more than 100 of MAs and PhDs in different universities. He had also been chosen as a member of the Academy of Arabic Language in Egypt, Sudan, and Syria. In addition, he was a member of the unions of the Arabic, Islamic, and African and international universities. Moreover, he was chosen as a member of the Islamic Madhahib, and he has been honored by both the government of Egypt and Sudan. In the year 1993, he was a guest to the American government. Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih was one of the Sudanese scholars who contributed to Islamic thought and its spread among the Muslims, mainly the Sudanese Sufis. In this concern, his literary as well as scientific products and output is wide-ranging and come into categories. He wrote extensively on almost all issues affecting his society and that serve as a reference point for generations about 200 years ago. He wrote extensively on Islamic issues and Sufism. Over more than 100 books were referred among his literary and scientific authoring books. As a prolific writer, he did not let all other da'wah's activities prevent him from writing. He had to his credit many Arabic literary works, including different sermons of scholarship standard. So his authoring books will be presented later in our introducing to his scientific legacy. He used to disseminate both the doctrine of the Sammani Sufi order, his predecessor Tariqa, as well as the teachings of Islam. His Sammani Center, founded by his grandfather Sheikh Qaribullah, formed one of the largest branch of the Sammaniya in Sudan. By the way, what distinguishes this Sammani Center is that it is the first urban center to be established by a grandson of the founder, my master Sheikh Ahmad al-Bashir. So Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih Da'wah activities made him visit many countries on the globe, such as Britain, London, USA, and in addition to many West and East African countries. The encyclopedic author. Under this title, just here I would like to present the authoring and Hassan Al-Fatih legacy and scientific contribution to the Islamic library in general and Sufi authoring in particular. So the founder of the Tariqa, in which Sheikh Hassan is a member, by the way, were known as scholars, and to them the credit of the widespread of the authoring books in both literary and prose production. So this initiative, by the way, the initiation of starting the authoring books to murids and the followers of the tariqah, by the way, back to its founder, my master Sheikh Muhammad al-Samman, who was known as a accomplished and extensive author of great scholarship in Sufi metaphysics. So Al-Samman is followed by his noble student Sheikh Al-Fatih, who also came to participate and to contribute greatly in the emergence of Islamic Sufi philosophy in Sudan. So Sudanese for the first time came to encounter the philosophy of Tasawwuf by the arrival of the Sammaniya teaching from Al-Madinah al-Munawwara during the end of 1980s. However, Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih has a grandson, and at the same time, as a member of this influential tariqah, has also continued the way of authoring. And in this regard, he has provided the Islamic and Sufi library with hundreds of books ranging from different journals of Islamic and Sufi issues. So he just would like to repeat and restate again, many eminent scholars have emerged among the Sammanis since the tariqah has been established in the 18th century, and they have been successful in propagating the tariqah teachings through writings, and among those come Professor Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih. Through his writings, Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih provides an illuminating window into the world of a 20th century Sudanese Muslim and Sufi scholar. He was a well-versed scholar and prolific writer, as many as 100 works have been attributed to him on various subjects including jurisprudence, Arabic language and literature, Sufism, the life history of the Prophet ﷺ, philosophy, and some others. His motives for writing were diverse. At the Sammani Sheikh, he wrote to explain the basic tenets of the tariqah and to defend them. He also wrote to answer questions which were related to Sufism issues, mainly his book and the notable authoring Yastanbi'unak, they ask you. Just here I would like to mention part of his title of the book that he has authored. إشارات الجمال والإبداع في الفلسفة الصوفية، أعلام الطريقة القادرية ودورهم في الفكر والدعوة إلى الله تعالى، أعلام الطريقة النقشبندية ودورهم في الفكر والدعوة إلى الله تعالى، الأمن في المفهوم الصوفي، الإنسان بين الماديات والروحيات، وهو it is one of the 4 books, by the way, that is handling the concept of wine in the Arabic poetry. باعث النهضة الروحية في العالم الإسلامي الشيخ محمد بن عبد الكريم السمان. In addition to براهين الموالد والذكريات الحولية للصالحين، التبرك بالصالحين وآثارهم، التصوف المنهج الأمثل للحياة، التصوف السوداني إلى نهاية عصر الفونج، التوسل بالأنبياء والصالحين، جبل كسير سيدي الشيخ أحمد طيب بن البشير، جرير مدينة الشعر، الحرب الأهلية في صدر الإسلام، الحريات الأساسية للمواطنين، الحقيقة المحمدية في الفلسفة الصوفية، الحياة الفكرية في ضوء الفلسفة الإسلامية، الدور الاجتماعي، الدور الديني والاجتماعي والفكري للطريقة السمانية، دور المتصوفة في الميدان الروحي، دور الصوفية في الميدان الاجتماعي، دور رائد الطريقة القادرية في الفكر والدعوة إلى الله، دور سيدي الشيخ أحمد الطيب في الفكر والدعوة إلى الله، دور سيدي الشيخ عبد المحمود في الفكر والدعوة إلى الله، دور الصوفية في ميادين التربية والتعليم، دور الصوفية في ميادين الإعلام، دور الغزالي في الفكر، دور الطريقة الأحمدية في الفكر والدعوة إلى الله تعالى، الرياضة في المفهوم الصوفي، السلاسل الذهبية في أسانيد أعيان الطريقة السمانية، السودان دار الهجرتين الأولى والثانية للصحابة. The Sudan, the abode of the two migrations. الشيخ غريب الله ودوره في الفكر والدعوة إلى الله تعالى، الشيخ والمسيد في المفهوم الصوفي، الصراع الفكري حول الفلسفة، فلسفة وحدة الوجود. The philosophy of existence, the unity of existence or the unity of being. يستنبئونك, a very influential, very important authoring book, by the way. It contains, by the way, questions and answers to Islamic and Sufi issues. So just we presented a very short example or very short sample of his authoring, and this authoring, by the way, as it has been stated, it was more than 100 authoring materials that contain different genres of Islamic, Arabic and Tasawwuf topics. What we would like to say is that part of these books and materials have been printed and published, while some others still in form of manuscripts. His favorite cherished activity aside from guidance was writing till his death. Professor Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih Qaribullah skillfully bridged the gap between academic religious studies and personal religiosity, because he built a strong bridge between reason and the heart, as well as between Sharia and Haqiqa in both his writings and his teaching style. His achievement in Sufism stations, Maghamat al-Tasawwuf, coincides with his advancements in academia. Consequently, he sat at the top of Tariqa Samaniya Qaribiyya at its peak after obtaining the title of professor. So he has that two privilege. He is at the top of the Samaniya Qaribiyya at its leader from a side, and at the same time he is at the top of one of famous educational institution, that is Umdurman Islamic University. So at the same time he is professor in the academia, and at the same time he is a perfect guide in the Sufi path. The Sufism institution in which he had grown up never prevented him of evolution in the academic institutions until he attained the chair of the Vice Chancellor of Umdurman Islamic University. Hassan Al-Fatih and views on politics. Both Abdul-Latif Al-Buni and Abdul-Latif Saeed in their book Al-Bur'i, Rajul al-Waqt, the man of his own time, had debated and taken the relationship of Sheikh Al-Bur'i to politics. However, out of their views on that topic, we quote, Sheikh Al-Bur'i is close to politics and far from it at the same time. As for his nearness, it is not possible for him but to have a relationship with leaders and politicians, because if he stood aloof from them, they would not stand aloof from him. As for his farness, he is not a political activist and not integrated into a party, nor is he partial to a party or political faction or group. His paths are clear for all people to approach him, and his abode is open to all. Leaders and those are led. So due to the nature of his social role, it is incumbent upon him that he not enter a party or take up a political position. So he doesn't oppose any government, nor does he become a partner of it. Such above description also applied to Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih, for if he stood aloof from the politics, it would not stand aloof from him. He has concentrate contributions. He has or he has concrete contributions in many of the social and sought field inside and outside Sudan. He also, and for so many times, he used to intervene between the political parties, looking to narrow the point of views, giving his consultations, seeking behind that the realization of national reconciliation. These efforts stemming from his political neutrality as well as his acceptance among the whole parties. In this regard, he has documented his views, his political views on the national issues, and submitted them to the concerned authorities during his lifetime. Furthermore, he has a clear contribution to the realization of peace, for he traveled to Nefasha, Kenya, and delivered strong words on that occasion. Also, he used to be visited by the delegations as well as international personalities, aiming to listen to his views, asking his consultation, and seeking his blessing. Thus, he used to subject all these ties positively to the service of the faith and the homeland. He has a lot of friends among the politicians from both government and the opposition in the country, who frequently used to visit him at his masjid. The Sheikh used to say his word by giving advice, guidance, as well as drawing the attention. When the situation has complicated and the war erupted in the south and the east of the country, he saw the necessity of national reconciliation. However, he moved to do something, benefiting from his strong ties with some of the opposition figures, such as Sayyid Muhammad Usman al-Mirqani, Sayyid al-Sadiq al-Mahdi, and Sayyid Ahmed al-Mirqani, adding to his good ties with some members in the ruling regime. Fortunately, he found the acceptance and the blessing to his efforts. However, he formed a consultant committee from Professor Yusuf Fadl and the minister, the late Sharif, and my humble person. In this concern, he used to inform us about the communication and contact with these parties. Such was the view of Abdul Mun'im Zain al-Nahas, the former judge court of appeal. The ambassadors of some world countries used to visit him mainly on Friday evening to attend with him the Friday dhikr. The ambassadors came with eagerness to know Sufis, their rituals, practices, as well as their role in da'wah and guidance in the country. Sheikh Hassan's competence in the English language enabled him contacting with those ambassadors. He used to debate with them his country issues as well as theirs. Some important Western personalities, whenever they came to Khartoum, you find them very concerned about meeting him. In this regard, the former American Special Envoy to Sudan, John Danforth, during the rule of Umar al-Bashir, when in his visit to Sudan, by the way, he was very concerned of meeting the Sheikh, aiming to know his views in many issues that concern his country, Sudan. To continue handling his views in politics, by the way, just here we have the following principle that had been held by the Sheikh regarding politics. Number one, according to his own views, the principles of politics is presented in the following items. Number one, shunning away of the affiliation to other than Allah party, appointed to in the Holy Quran, in Allah saying, they are the party of Allah. Indeed, Allah's party is bound to succeed. Number two, Sufism should come to be a secure oasis under its shadow, both the government supporters as well as the opposition need. Number three, that by the advice to both parties, government and opposition, putting away what creates the disunity among those sons of the Islamic Ummah. Number four, shunning away of all what the other run after of the ornament of dunya, from political and religious occupations to what brings to them the freedom of servitude, making no concession to other than Allah. Number five, the practice of politics ought to be a means for an end. In an interview with him, when he was asked about the relationship or the relation of Sufis to Sudanese politics, he said, the Sufis are not directly involved in politics, allowing their followers to make their own choices. But politicians frequently court and seek their favor, nonetheless. And many political leaders in Sudan are still or are Sufis themselves, including several ministers in the present government. Former President Jafar Nimeri, the President of Sudan during 1970s to 1980s, was a Sufi, a follower of Sammaniya Sufi path. But Sufis do inevitably have a moderating effect on whatever party leads the country, since the very core of their teachings and practices is tolerance towards others. To sum up this area of our debate on the views of Sheikh Hassan towards politics, we would like here to say, according to him, the Sufi, according to Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih, the Sufi should do good for people and follow the way of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. He should be tolerant with his family, neighbors, and all others in the world. As Islam and the Sufi doctrine calling for the restoration of peace among different communities, Sheikh Hassan has responded to the invitation of the Sudanese government of Omar al-Bashir to attend the signing of a peace agreement with the then SPLM, Sudan People Liberation Movement, at Nifasha, Kenya in 2005. The Sheikh has addressed the gathering and delivered a speech focused on the significance of peace and love among people of different faiths. The Friday Dhikr. The Friday gathering for Dhikr is ever celebrated festival in the center. Here, the Masjid of my master Sheikh Qaribullah. It is an ancient event that has been started during the lifetime of the center founder, Sheikh Qaribullah Sheikh Saleh. It has been narrated that the Sheikh Sheikh Qaribullah himself used to lead the Madih, that to say he was the model and the teacher who set the principles and the methods. The method of his center regarding the eulogy or praising and chanting in the masjid. The Sudanese historian Hassan Najida, when there was an attendant to one of the Fridays dhikr during the lifetime of Sheikh Qaribullah, listen to him describing the scene in which he was a witness. And how happy we are when the dhakirin, those who in remembrance, as well as the praise singers, al-madihin, went into silence, and the Sheikh Qaribullah takes the lead in chanting, and the Sheikh Qaribullah takes the lead in chanting. He has a deeply influential voice, with the sweetened tune. He sometimes chants with some other Sufi poems. How was he captivated and surprised with his chanting. After the passing away of Sheikh Qaribullah, he has been succeeded by his son Sheikh Muhammad Al-Fatih. So the Friday dhikr continued with the very same spirit, for it was also the Masjid has 10 a vocal point to the seekers of spiritualities, the sincere murids and the lovers of the Sufi path. With the same spirit, the Friday dhikr kept on going during the time of the Khalifa, Professor Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih. However, the spirit of revivalism, which is one of the main features of Sheikh Hassan Caliphate, was also so vivid and could be touched in Friday dhikr. The Sheikh himself, and after the performance of the Maghrib prayers, used to hold a session or lesson on Sufism. Abdul Jalil Abdullah Saleh was lucky enough to attend these events, by the way, since the end of 1990s to the last time of the passing away of my master Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih. So I was very concerned of attending the Fridays, and in addition to Tuesday, in which Sheikh Hassan used to deliver lectures and to deliver lessons. By the way, I'm so lucky to be participant and a person who has used to attend these events. So I do remember well that Sheikh has finished presenting Imam Al-Ghazali, Ihya Ulum al-Din, and he started, Risalat Al-Imam Al-Qushayri epistle. By the way, he just presenting the introduction, and it was the only lectures, and it was the final and the last lectures, and his words were the last words that I heard him directly before his passing away in 2005. View from a Western traveler attend Friday dhikr. Among the attendants of the Friday dhikr, by the way, are foreigners. And here I just would like to see one of the views of a Westerner, a traveler that was one day a participant to the Friday dhikr. On a recent Friday afternoon on Khartoum Street, closed to traffic and covered in mats, hundreds of Sammaniya devotees stood in lines, facing each other for the dhikr, or remembrance of God. That is the most important Sufi ritual. They spent all afternoon of their only day of work bowing deeply hundreds of times, chanting La ilaha illallah, there is no God but God, or other devotional lines, or simply the word Allah again and again. Every moment directed by their Sheikh, they turned from side to side and jumped up and down. There was no small talk, there were no distractions, just the devotee, his Sheikh and his God, against the background of the voices of men leading the chants. The dhikr combines chants, prayers, meditation, and various related body movements to induce a total absorption of the individual in the worship of God. Members vary from children to old folks, poor to rich, educated and not. When the Sammaniya meet for dhikr, they all wear the white jalabiyas common in Sudan, with a special leather belt that signifies their devotion. There is some variety in dress among the groups. It requires real stamina to go the full 5 or 6 hours, especially when the summer temperature soared to well above 40 degrees Celsius. But the reward, says Sheikh Qaribullah, is a feeling of joy. He says when he engages in the dhikr, his whole focus is on God and being close to God. I try hard to be close to God, he says simply. His dignified bearing and spiritual face testify to the fruits of these exertions. Another witness who visited the masjid of Sheikh Qaribullah and attended the dhikr during the time of my master Sheikh Hassan wrote, at the other end of town, the Samaniya, dressed in white jalabiya and some brown belts, stand in a line before their leader to chant the 99 names of Allah in spiritual form of line dancing. Such were views from two Westerners visited and attended the Friday dhikr at the masjid of my master Sheikh Qaribullah. The first Sudanese Sufi website initiator. Sheikh Hassan was the best example of a Sufi that to him the description applied. The Sufi is the son of his moment. He responded to the needs of the time. At every moment, he is dealing with the requirements of that moment. The Muslim who is greatest in understanding and who submits to the rule of his hour is the real Sufi. That is, he gives everything the position it requires in action and speech. He is a person moving with time in a circle. Sheikh Hassan was based on action and practice. His goal was to direct Muslims to the right path and to invite non-Muslims to the fold of Islam. However, benefiting from the technological revolution represented on the emergence of the network, here internet network, during 1990s, Sheikh Hassan is the first Sudanese Sufi to initiate and to create a Sufi website. That was in 1998. The website started with the address allah.com, which was registered relatively early in 1995 and for many years, 1998-2006, appeared to be linked to the Samaniya Tariqa, a Sudanese religious brotherhood. More specifically, it referred to the spiritual authority of Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih Qaribullah, a famous Samani Sheikh from Durman. Originally, it called itself the site electronic mosque of Allah on the internet. Later, this was toned down to the first site of Prophet Muhammad on the internet. Its mission was to promote the leading Islamic revival plan. This is a view of Albrecht Hoverhen's A History of Allah.com, a published paper at academia.edu. To sum up, to Professor Hassan Al-Fatih Qaribullah the credit of initiating the first Sudanese Sufi website, and that is during 1998. And by the way, this website is the first Sudanese, as I have stated, and its message is to promote the understanding of Islam to Muslim, and at the same time it is a channel through which non-Muslim were invited or uninvited to embrace Islam through the dissemination of the authentic and true knowledge that used to be disseminated in the website itself. So in the website, by the way, the story life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is provided in addition to the translation of the Holy Quran. The translation of the Holy Quran, by the way, has been a project that had been led by the late Professor Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih Qaribullah. So the website, in fact, has participated and contributed greatly in providing the awareness of the true message of Islam from a side, and at the same time spreading the message of Tasawwuf from another, the true message of Tasawwuf from another side. As influential author and scholar from a side and a guide from another side, he has been a focus of praising and appreciation. For example, if you have taken Saint Al-Fatih in his writing Arabic Literature of Africa, Volume 1, the writings of Eastern Sudanic Africa, 1994, he wrote about him and said, the literary tradition within the descendants of Ahmad al-Tayyib has flourished ever since at the various Sammani centers in Omdurman, Tabat and elsewhere. The Qaribullah branch in Omdurman, who is present 1993, Sheikh is Dr. Hassan Muhammad Al-Fatih. Qaribullah has been particularly effective in adapting the Sammani tradition to a modern urban context. That's the view of Professor the late Al-Fatih. From another side, when he's passing away, many Sudanese notable also have come to express their sorrows and sadness of his passing away, and at the same time praising his efforts and his contribution to Islam and Sufism in Sudan. Just he would like to state few of these views. We recall to him his apparent role in Allah Da'wah, for he spent his age in the service of science, Islam and Muslims. Such were the words of Sayyid Muhammad Usman al-Marqani. The Sudanese famous diplomat Bashir al-Bakri lauded and praised the late Professor Hassan al-Fatih when he said, his presence was the national safety for our generation and the one after. I have never seen traditionalism and modernism coexist in one person, as I saw on the face of the scholar, the wali, by the permission of Allah. Yes, he was the night monk, a night of the time. From another hand, Sheikh Hassan also was the center of praising to the late former Prime Minister Sadiq al-Mahdi when he said, two hearts belong to the late Sheikh Hassan, Tagiyum Garin and Tagiyum Galam. Regarding the whole heart, it is a carpet of Tasawwuf, or the Tasawwuf hat. The Ben hat, on the other hand, represents his identifiable, well-known and distinct scholarly quest. We wish to draw lessons from his life and works that will serve as a model, an example for future generations. Such was the view of the late Imam Sadiq al-Mahdi. The Sudanese former diplomat, minister and thinker Dr. Mansour Khalid, also about Sheikh Hassan has said, Al-Hassan was a precise researcher and a writer who aimed for excellence and preference. After a life full of achievements and great noble deeds, Sheikh Hassan has passed away in June 2005 and came to be buried at the tomb of his grandfather, Sheikh Qaribullah at Durman. The Sheikh and the scholar Hassan Al-Fatih left behind a strong spiritual and scientific legacy for generations to come. In addition to the thousands of murids and lovers scattered around the world, mainly Sudan and Nigeria. When he's passing away, he came to be succeeded by his righteous son, the Grand Khalifa, Sheikh Muhammad. Such were glimpses of the rich life and contributions, legacy of Professor the late Sheikh Hassan Al-Fatih Qaribullah. May Allah be and have mercy on his soul.